Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And happy Invictus 2955. Today is Crusader and Tumble Day, but I wanted to talk about the Nautilus because CAG recently posted an episode of Star Citizen Live between Jared and John Crew where the question was asked, what's going on with the Nautilus? And essentially, it's not a priority right now, and they have to work on the mine lane tech. So I wanted to go through and take a look at this ship, essentially do a deep dive, and look back at the original concept page to learn what this ship is all about. Now, some of you guys may not know this, but the Nautilus is one of my favorite ship designs. I'm a big fan of the DeVito design, and well, this ship, as you can see on the screen right now, this ship is beautiful. So let's get right into this video and learn what the Nautilus has to offer. 400 years ago, Aegis Dynamics introduced the Nautilus. Warfare has never been the same since. Throughout centuries of refinement, 2949's Nautilus is a paragon of strategic conflict and the first choice for combat engineers the universe over. So this is the 400th anniversary of the Nautilus from 2549 to 2949. So, as many of you guys may know, Aegis is a storied manufacturer of the UEE Navy, with ships like the Gladius being just as old. So there's a lot of rich lore about the Nautilus out there that builds on this ship's capabilities, right? So with mine laying, this is kind of a unique concept on combat for this game specifically, where it's a more set it and forget it type of combat than, straight up dogfighting or capital versus capital ship. So I want to see how these mines actually work. So the first one here is the homing mine. The Firestorm kinetics to for a homing mine is built to establish defensive boundaries. Once armed, it moves towards any hostile target within range. Once it reaches lethal proximity, it detonates with a devastating explosion. So essentially, this mine is designed to create an area of denial where these mines are kind of placed around in this area, and any ship that is hostile that comes in this area, the mine will be attracted to it and it will explode. So basically, there has to be some kind of way where maybe members of your party are not considered hostile and can kind of fly to this area. And you can essentially say that, these people aren't in my party, so I want the mine to kind of go to them. And kind of good use cases for this might be, a mining org going out with the Orion to mine an asteroid belt. They might have a Nautilus crew with them to set up a perimeter around their mining claim to kind of keep it safe. If anyone comes in, these mines will get attracted to them and explode. So I can see this being really interesting as this, larger org gameplay starts to get fleshed out, as, silver numbers increase and players really need to, set up defensive perimeters when they're doing any kind of gameplay in space. So the next one here is the sentry mine. The VLR-11 sentry mine's primary role is perimeter defense. Upon deployment, the mine lays dormant until a hostile target enters its range. When activated, it will fire its equipped weapons with high accuracy. So this is very similar to the homing mine, but instead of being attracted to that ship and then exploding, this will kind of stay stationary in a perimeter and fire weapons at ships in its firing range. So this is very similar to something like station turrets. And I can really see this being used for player space stations. For instance, CIG revealed at CitizenCon last year that we'll have player space stations. And so if you have a player space station, you're going to want turrets around it that kind of fire at incoming hostiles. In that CitizenCon kind of video that they released, they kind of showed another org or group attacking this space station, and with sentry turrets around it, you can create that area of denial, just like regular Leo stations in the game right now. I think this is very interesting gameplay. Another thing that you could probably use these sentry mines and homing mines for is like the shield network org versus org warfare. Maybe you could use these, mines to create a safer perimeter to kind of give you more time to take control of that space station, that satellite, to kind of keep other orgs out while you again take over control of that space station and get those shield credits or whatnot. So that might be very interesting for org versus org warfare. And the last one here is the Nemo drone. The Nautilus is equipped with Sega Data Systems tailor-made Nemo drones, which stands for Neutralize and Employ Mine Ordnance, which are specifically designed to safely identify, deactivate, and collect all mines compatible with the Nautilus platform. So again, this is really interesting. These drones are designed to pick up mines, right? So there might be some kind of way to deactivate them, maybe remotely after, the battle is over. If, no enemies enter this area, you can reclaim your drones instead of disposing of them. So these drones are designed for mine recovery. Maybe they can be used to recover another Nautilus's drones. So you can kind of send the Nautilus out first before you get in an org war. And you can see if this other org has drones around their base or space station. And you can kind of collect those drones before you move your fleet in. So whether you're using the Nautilus to defend your space station or you're using a Nautilus to attack a space station, it seems like the Nautilus plays a pretty critical role in that large org versus org fleet battle type scenario. So exploring the Nautilus, legendary design, the Nautilus is an expansive ship encompassing an integrated mine deployment system, drone-based minesweeper system, and full crew quarters and facilities. However, 400 years of iteration and refinement has made its massive hull feel conveniently intimate, with access and functionality at the forefront of its interior design. So we have 3 decks here. So Nautilus is not a small ship. The first area we see here is the central lift. Then moving back, we have the mine depot and the mine control room. So there are essentially 2 primary areas on the top deck. That's going to be your mine control room and the depot where the mines are stored. And then of course you just have your central elevator there. The main deck is where you have most of everything. You have the bridge up at the front here. Then you have escape pods, which is pretty standard on ships of this size. Moving back, you have your docking collar. Again, standard for ships of this size. You're going to want to be able to dock to a station or other ships. There are ships coming out, right, that have more likely hacking gameplay where you'll be able to board ships like this to their docking collar. 6 over here, you have the captain's quarters, right? So you can see this kind of pod looking thing right here. That's going to be your captain's quarters. Then we have your turrets. So there's going to be 1 on either side here. And it looks like it's going to have 2 size 3 guns. Now this might get upgunned as CIG goes through and balances larger ships, sub-capitals, capital ships, and that type of thing. Then we have the crew quarters. Then in the middle, you have that central lift and the mess hall. So again, this is a sub-capital. It's probably going to have bunk beds over here, right? And then the tables where you can kind of eat and plan the missions that you want to do that day. And then over here, 7, we have the engine control room. So you have your main engines. So it kind of makes sense to have your engineering terminal, components, different things on either side where it's close to those main engines. Then we have the sweep deck. This is your lowermost deck. And you can see right here, you have those 2 size 7 guns, right? Now these might get upgunned because CIG upgunned the guns on the Perseus to 2 size 8s now, or 4 size 8s, right? So I think having, potentially 2 size 8s on the Nautilus makes a lot of sense. Right at the front here, we have the drone bay. Then the central lift again. The cargo bay, an expansive hold, accommodates up to 64 SU of cargo. Now, this was a lot of cargo back in the day. Now, I'm not sure so, but this looks like a big enough space that it could potentially hold more. We'll see if this ship grows in size when it leaves concept and goes straight to flyable. And then at the back here, we have another mine bay. Now, this mine bay is specifically designed for the Nemo drones to safely return deactivated mines for quick reintegration. You have your sentry mines and the kind of like bomb mines up at the top, and then you have your drones on the bottom. So you kind of have two areas where you deploy these things. We also have some pictures here, right? There's the front. We have it firing its main weapons. You see those two size 7 guns there. Here's an image of the Nemo drone collecting those bomb mines. Then we have an image of the bridge. This is a very cool bridge here with those two guns facing forward. Here's the interior of the bridge. Now, again, this is a very cool looking bridge. I mean, who wouldn't want to sit in this captain's chair looking out at this view? This is a very cool looking ship bridge. Then it looks like we have the drone bay. These look like the sentry drones. Maybe this is like some kind of launch tube and the control panel there to control the drones. Then we have a picture of it flying. You can see all the drones there. I'm not entirely sure how many drones this ship can hold and deploy, but from this picture it looks like a lot. And here we have a picture of it under construction. You can see the main turret down here, the adding the drone deployment thing on the top, and the main engines on the side. CAG used to do this a lot where they would kind of show these ships under construction, and you can see a C2 under construction when you go to Orson on Crusader. It is very cool to see these things in lore, and I hope that when we go, we get more manufacture home planets and main cities, we see more of this kind of industrial complex, with CAG, showing the construction of these massive ships in the game. Then we have a picture of it landed here, so you can see the landing gear. It looks like pretty good ground clearance under the ship, with those main engines able to rotate for VTOL. That's pretty handy to have. CIG has basically said that ships that don't have VTOL will have a harder time leaving atmosphere, so that's good to see here as well. Here's another image of it deploying those bomb drones with the back of the ship. And here's an image of the Kraken being bombarded with those bomb drones exploding all around it. That's its intended purpose right there, so that's pretty interesting to see. Here's the image of those sentry drones attacking the Van Duel. So, you're going to be able to create a perimeter with all of these sentry drones to kind of defend your station or whatever area you want to. So really cool pictures here. Again, I really love this ship. Look how wide it looks from this picture, from this angle. It looks awesome. 4 centuries of the Nautilus, the impact of the Aegis mine layer is felt further and wider today than ever before, even if it doesn't get the glory its history entitles it to. So we got the brochure here. We're going to read this and take a look at the full specs. So length is 125 meters, width is 72, height is 21. It has a crew of 8, cargo capacity of 64. Then in terms of components, we have 1 large jump drive, 1 large quantum drive, 2 large power plants, and 3 large shield generators. And if you think of that in terms of shield generators, the Stalin's attack has 2 large shield generators, the Carrack has 2 large shield generators. So 3 large shield generators is pretty good. It's not a capital class ship. Again, I believe the Perseus is going to also have 2 large shield generators. So this has some pretty decent shielding for its size. And I would again put it in that kind of Perseus Hammerhead kind of Corvette subcapital class ship. Then we have the specs for the drones here. In terms of turrets, we have 1 manned turret with 2 size 7 guns, 2 manned turrets with 2 size 3 guns. And again, I think CIG might upgun this ship. I think 2 size 4 guns for each side turret might be interesting. Alright, so now we have the specs of this ship. So the length is 125, the width is 72, the height is 21, has a crew capacity of 8 and a cargo capacity of 64. Now this ship might grow as it moves out of concept and into flyable. Um, so I don't know if these numbers will change specifically. Back in the day, 64 cargo was a lot, but we don't know if this ship is going to grow or not. In terms of jump drive, it has one large jump drive, one large quantum drive, two large power plants, and three large shields. Now, for comparison, the Silencer Max has two large shields, so this will have kind of one more than that. But it's kind of, something that a ship this size reasonably would have with today's current metrics. So, again, I think this number seems good. It's not a capital ship, it's a sub-capital or corvette. You can call it that. I would kind of put it in the same class as something like the Hammerhead or the Perseus, a little bit below the Polaris there. Now, in terms of utility mounts and systems, it of course has that drone retrieval bay and the drone launch bay at the top. Then in terms of turrets, it has one turret with two size 7s, one man turret there with two size 3s, one man turret with two size 3s, and it has the countermeasures, flare, and chaff. Now, I don't know if this ship is going to get upgunned. We saw that the Perseus got upgunned with its turrets and its main guns to having, instead of 4 size 7s, 4 size 8s. So a ship like this could realistically get those 2 size 7 guns upgunned to 2 size 8s. Now, on the Nautilus, those 2 size 7 guns do look like bespoke laser weapons, right? So that might be kind of interesting for this ship. We don't know entirely how those NG weapons are going to behave. In terms of other systems, we have 2 large coolers, 1 large life support, 2 large hydrogen fuel tanks, and then 2 large quantum fuel tanks. So pretty good specs, I would say, for a ship this size and class. Again, CIG might not upgun this ship because it's designed to lay mines and kind of just get out of there, right? It's not really designed to go head to head with other capital ships. But of course, if it gets caught in the fleet, it can defend itself, and even, it has that a little bit of offensive capability. So if you're not a huge combat player, but you still want to play an integral role in the fleet, the Nautilus might really appeal to you, right? If you're part of a larger org and you want to play a role that, everybody kind of looks to you to kind of set up the battlefield, to, work on protecting the fleet while the fleet potentially regroups and does what it needs to do. I think this ship is going to appeal to a lot of people, right? But I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think of the Nautilus? Do you think this ship is for you? Do you have one on buyback? Or are you just waiting for CIG to, make it a priority after all these years? I think it's a very interesting ship. Again, you guys know I'm a big fan of the Dorito design. It's a beautiful ship, and I think it has a very unique combat role, right? It's way different than any of the other combat ships, and I think eventually its role will be very important. Again, when we get player space stations, when we get the org versus org warfare with the shield network in Pyro, and when we get those larger mining ships like the Orion that really want to have that protection, locking down mining claims and that type of thing. But that's going to be it for me in this video, guys. I really want to hear what you guys think. Thanks for hanging out with me again. Thank you guys so much for supporting the videos. You guys have been showing the channel a lot of love this Invictus, and it really means a lot to me. I really appreciate you guys for all the support that you've been giving over the giving to the channel over the years. But like I say at the end of all these videos, you guys, Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.